What's good, y'all? It's your boy BioSpider 3.0 back with part 2 of the review of the Abba Assassin figure from SOOSOOToys. And this part 2 is going to be brief. I just wanted to kind of finish, wrap up the review with some concluding thoughts and show you guys a little bit of the posing capabilities of this guy because they are indeed amazing, man. I spent the day last week, Saturday. It's been like a whole week that I'm a whole week later that I'm filming the second part. But I spent the day Saturday when I filmed after I filmed part 1 just posing him around, and man, he is capable of some of the most craziest poses you could ever imagine, man. Like I got him doing so many like shots from the show where he's like landing with the Drago sword and just looking awesome and dynamic. Like it's absolutely insane, man. The engineering on this figure is A1, man. They blew it, like just blew me away with it. It's a shout out the park, man. It's crazy. So yeah, just real quick, I wanted to show you guys that he can actually rest the Drago sword completely on his shield. I just wanted to show that off real quick. That's why I started the video with him in this pose. You can see I've got the extended version in his hand, and it's a little hard to tell from this angle, so that's why I'm picking him up so you can actually see that the Drago sword is completely on his like resting on his shield. As a matter of fact, I forgot the display stand. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna grab the display stand so you can see it 360. All right, I'm back. My bad, guys. I always seem to forget something. All right, so here we go. So I'm back. I got the rotating display stand, and I'm gonna put him on it in just a sec. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that he is in fact able to get the Drago sword to rest completely on his shield. The trick to doing it is that instead of having the weapon holding hands, which are like mostly like closed, like where all the fingers are like basically together with just the the one space in between, what you have to do is actually use the pin holding hands. And when you use them, instead of putting the handle like completely in between like the rest of his fingers, like you just want to put the handle in between his index and his thumb, and that way he's able to, like, the handle kind of has a little more wiggle room for the sword, and that way you're able to kind of like push it down more so that when you're bending his arm, you can actually get the sword resting like completely on his shield, which I think looks a lot better, especially like if you want to take shots, like pictures of this guy. It's a lot more aesthetically pleasing to have the Drago sword completely on the shield instead of just like awkwardly hovering above it. So yeah, I was able to do that, and that made me really happy because yeah, that was like an iconic pose in the show, and I was really hoping that this figure was going to be able to pull it off. And as you saw in part 1, I thought that I wasn't going to be able to do it, quite, I thought it wasn't going to quite get there. But once I started playing around with him and posing him up, and I just like switched, the pin holding hands in place, and then started, putting the Drago sword in between just these two fingers, I found out that he was able to do it perfectly, and it looks so good, man. So good. You get it? So good. But yeah, man, just an amazing figure. So real quick, yeah, I'm gonna show you him on the rotating display stand so you can actually see some of that. And he's such a big figure, it's kind of hard to see because he's so tall. It's like kind of hard to see from this angle that he's actually doing it. So I'll pick the camera up a little bit as we rotate him. But yeah, here he is on the rotating display stand, and hopefully you can kind of see now that he is in fact able to get it completely onto the Drago, or yeah, the shield. Drago shield, I guess we could call it. Boom, see that? Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, man, as he rotates. And obviously you can do that with the, the pin version of the Drago sword. So I'm gonna stop him right there. Boom. And then real quick, I'm just gonna swap out, this extended version of the Drago sword with the regular version, so you can see that as well. Because he looks so freaking cool when he has it actually on the shield. So let's see, here we go. Just kind of get it in between those two fingers, and boom. Now he's got it resting all the way on his shield. Now I'll give you a 360 of that, him holding the other version of the sword in a 360. Here we go. Boom, look at that. Beautiful, man, absolutely beautiful. You see that? Just amazing how he's able to actually get that, going and looking just like how he did in the show, man. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it, man. So yeah, fantastic job by SOOSOOToys. They are doing some great things. They definitely got me on board as far as 6 scale rangers. I'm gonna be trying to get all the pre-orders. I'm gonna be trying to get all their ranger releases, from here on out, because they look absolutely exceptional. And I'm really glad that this guy was my first purchase from them. Very, very impressed. So some last concluding thoughts for this guy. Things that I wanted to mention. I know for a fact that a lot of the 3.0 customers, like people that have the 3.0 Rangers, they actually said themselves that these SOOSOOToys Rangers are more durable. They're like the bodies are sturdier and they actually pose better, they said, than the 3.0 figures. You know what I mean? And that's not me trying to like talk bad about 3.0 at all, because I think 3.0 has done some amazing work. Let's not get it twisted. Before SOOSOO like came out with Rangers, my go-to was gonna be 3.0. I've seen reviews on 3.0 Rangers, like the Mighty Morphin Green Ranger, Lord Dragon, and pretty much all the MMPR team Rangers, or at least some of them. And I thought they looked like amazing, so I was definitely gonna go for them originally. But once these SOOSOOToys releases came out, there was just certain things that I liked a little bit better about them. One being like the overall proportions of these SOOSOO figures. I think they nailed the proportions a little bit better. I think the bodies look, more, not slim, but I guess, yeah, just more like how they did in the show is the best way I could, describe it. I feel like the 3.0 Rangers, just like the bodies are a little bit too bulky, and the heads are bigger and stuff, and they're definitely like a taller, like again, like when you compare the height wise, like when you compare 3.0 with these SOOSOO Rangers, the 3.0 ones stack up like they're like quite a bit bigger. They're taller and just bigger bodies. And I like, the overall size of this, this SOOSOO White Ranger, for instance. I like the overall size of this a lot better. I think it's perfect. It's not too big. It's easy to handle. Very easy to pose, but it feels sturdy. Again, it doesn't feel like it's gonna break. None of the joints feel weak, and So I just think that overall SOOSOO has done a slightly better job when it comes to proportions and just like the overall look of their Ranger figures. I think it looks like, like they really just pulled, the people out of the show, like the suit actors, and just boom, now you have it in figure form. And the details are just, immaculate. It's just great work overall. So that's just something I wanted to mention. That's not to say that, this figure is completely without fault or doesn't have like any flaws. So for example, one of the first, I guess, missing details that I wanted to point out is that the inside of the shield isn't painted black like it was in the show. I was really hoping they were going to get it right. Unfortunately, they did not paint it black. They did paint it gold though, and you can actually kind of like, it might be hard to tell on camera, but there is actually like a bit of an outline, so you could see like where the black would be separated from the, the gold border. So they did like kind of, I guess, sculpt that detail into there, which is really nice. But it's just a little unfortunate that they weren't able to actually paint the inside black. But again, not a big deal. Very, very minor. And a lot of times, like when you're looking at this guy from a distance, anyways, there's going to be like a lot of shadows and stuff in there. So it looks like it's black inside, it has that illusion. So that's definitely good enough. And then one of the biggest things that SOOSOO missed, unfortunately, is the painting of the helmet. So they did it in a matte finish. You can see his helmet is in like a matte white finish, besides the visor. Obviously the visor in red has like a nice gloss over it, which is very nice. I'm glad that they at least got that part, right, to make the visor look reflective. But the actual helmet itself is in a matte white instead of like a gloss. And we all know that Power Rangers have glossy helmets, with all their suits. So that is a little unfortunate, and it seems like SOOSOO is doing that with all of their Ranger releases. So that's just something to note. But I did see on Reddit that somebody said there was like a Rust-Oleum paint. I forget the exact name of it, but if I can find the thread again, I'll have it linked in the description so you guys can check it out. There's like a Rust-Oleum paint or something that you can, it's like a gloss paint or like clear coat or something that you can add to the helmets, and it gives them a really nice show accurate gloss. I've seen somebody use it on the Black Dino Thunder Ranger from SOOSOO, and it looked, it came out perfect. Like it really looked just like the show after they applied it. So yeah, so it's not the end of the world if that's something that's gonna bother you. As for right now, the glossiness missing doesn't bother me too much, but I think like maybe somewhere down the line I might add that Rust-Oleum paint. If I do it, I'll probably do it to the Black Ranger first, just because I'd rather test it out on the Black Ranger than this guy, because I really don't want to mess this guy up. But yeah, down the line, if I really, really want to fix it, I may do that. I haven't quite decided yet, but as of right now, I think, it still looks really good. It doesn't bother me, not having that glossy look to it. It really doesn't bother me too much right now, especially since that they actually got like the visor right as far as the glossy look goes. But yeah, man, what else? Oh, one thing I cannot stress enough: make sure you have clean hands before you handle this guy, okay? So when I was posing this guy around on Sunday, actually last Sunday, the day after I unboxed him, I was eating a donut, a chocolate donut, got a little bit of chocolate on my fingers, and I forgot to clean my hands, and I went to grab him, and I got a stain right here on his lower torso. And I was like, no, I was devastated, man. I was like, no, the stain. And I was like, I didn't know how I was gonna get it out, because the box was saying like all these things not to use on the figure because it could damage it. It was saying like, don't use alcohol or like any thinners or anything like that to try and like clean it. And I was like, oh man. And so I was like, I didn't know what I was gonna do. So I was trying to like research ways that people have cleaned their 1/6 scale figures that have fabric clothing and stuff, safely. And pretty much like the only safe thing that I found that came up was to use hot water and soap, like kind of like a liquid like hand washing soap or dishwashing. And so I was like, man, it's worth a shot. My sister told me the same thing. She was like, you might as well like try it. And I was like, all right. So, and that's what I did, and thank God it actually worked, man. So I just got like a piece of a paper towel, got a little bit of like hot warm water on it, and then a little bit of like Dawn liquid soap, and I just very gently scrubbed out the spot that it was where it had stained, and then thank God it went away. It like was gone. Like I made sure that it dried like very fast, and then like once it like completely dried out, the stain was gone, and I was like, oh, thank goodness, man, because that was gonna bother me so much, especially being that I hadn't filmed this part yet, part 2 for you guys. So I was like, no, he can't have like a ugly stain on his torso as I'm trying to review him. And so yeah, that thank God that came out. And since then I have made it a point to make sure that my hands are clean every time I go to grab this guy. So matter of fact, I even washed my hands like right before this part 2. So make sure, I cannot stress that enough, make sure you have clean hands. If you've gone outside and maybe got like a little dirty residue, or you just got done eating, just make sure you wash your hands before you go grabbing this guy, because you don't want to stain him. Him being the White Ranger, obviously everything's going to show up a lot. So yeah, just make sure you do that. And if you do happen to get a stain on him, just make sure you don't use anything harsh to try to clean him. Obviously don't use like bleach or anything like that. Like I said, just try to get like a paper towel, some hot water, a little bit of like soap, like hand washing soap, nothing crazy, nothing that you wouldn't use like on your own hands, and just kind of apply a little bit of that, and just very gently kind of just scrub the stain, and let it dry, and then try to get it out as quickly as possible, obviously, because you don't want whatever stained it to settle into the fabric for too long. But so you want to try to get it out as quickly as possible, but it should come out once it dries. Let it air dry, maybe like blow a little bit of hot breath on it to try to help it dry a little bit faster. But yeah, it should come out if you get it out quick enough. And so yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Cannot stress that enough, because I was getting a little upset. I was like, no, brother, he's got an ugly stain, but I was able to get it out. So there is that. Let's see, last points So real quick, I'm just gonna put him into some kind of like cool, show poses or something that looks kind of similar to like things he did in the show. And yeah, I just want to show you guys a little bit of the quick posing capabilities that he can do. And then we'll sign off. I'm just gonna do some quick size comparisons because I don't have much to compare him to, being that he is like pretty much my first 6-scale figure in the collection. But I do have like a few figures from my childhood, thankfully, that are in a bigger scale, and so I'm gonna use those to demonstrate, how he scales with some bigger figures. But first up, let's just do a couple of cool poses with him so you guys can get an idea of what he can do. Because, man, when I tell you this guy can hit like every pose in the book, I am not joking, man. Like, he really can do it all. I was blown away by how much he was able to do once I freed up the joints. And yeah, I guess it's a good thing that I actually kind of like posed this guy around before doing my part 2, because part 1 definitely didn't really, give you guys a good sense of, what he's able to do. And so I think it's a good thing that I'm doing this part 2 so that you can really see what he's capable of, as I got a chance to like free up the joints and like really kind of push them to their limits. And obviously, again, you don't want to apply excessive force to this guy, but once you free up the joints and like keep playing around with them, you really can get him into like just about any pose you want. And he looks badass doing it, like any pose that you put him in. So I'm gonna try to put him in a pose that I did earlier, and I was able to take like a dope shot of it. Let me see if I can recreate that pose real quick off camera, and then I'll put him in front for you guys. But yeah, this guy is capable of some crazy good looking stuff. Alright, so here we go. So yeah, a little something like this. Let's see. Just getting him balanced here. Just gonna try to crunch him a little bit more here. Boom, okay. So yeah, a little something like that. Just make sure he's got the sword nice and high. Okay, there we go. Boom, okay. Almost got it, you guys. Just getting him balanced here. Okay, there we go, boom. Ah, there goes his other Draco sword. Put that back before we damage it. That back in the box, move that out the way. Boom. So there is a nice shot of what he's capable of. Move the sword down a little bit out of the way of his face. Turn his head a little bit here. But boom, look at that. Look at the dynamic stuff you can get him into. Right there, man. Like, bam. Look how awesome that looks, man. And that was like a quick, just a very quick demonstration. If I had like a little, more time, I would be able to get him looking even better in this type of pose. But you guys will see, for like the thumbnails of the videos, I'm gonna have, because I took a ton of shots on Saturday, so don't worry, I'll have in the thumbnail. I'm gonna try to show off as many shots that I can that I took of him that look, I think came out like really dope, just so you can see like how much he's capable of doing. But this should give you like a quick sense of just what he's capable of, because he can do a whole lot. This is just something real quick to show you guys. But yeah, he looks badass, man. I mean, it really looks like they just pulled this dude straight out the show. Like, it's amazing. The aesthetics on this guy are amazing. As you pose him, the fabric suit just really like stretches and like wrinkles like in the right places, like around his joints, so it really looks like a person in a suit no matter what pose you put him in. It's absolutely phenomenal what they did with this figure, man. I'm just still in disbelief of how well this figure came out and how well they pulled it off. Absolutely worth the wait, man. I told you guys, man, I was bugging trying to see when this guy was gonna come out, because they said second quarter originally. That was their estimated release date, and I had a feeling that it wasn't gonna come out quite that soon from when they announced it. And obviously, it just kind of came out. But this is honestly the perfect time Being that he came out in October, you know, his suit being like the assassin and everything kind of fits perfectly with October spooky season, you know. So we got this guy kind of like at the perfect time, if you ask me. You know, it was like, it felt like, you know, last month felt like it was made for this Ranger. Because bro is deadly and he has a very menacing look to him. So yeah, man, I just want to show that off real quick. But that's just like an idea of something that you can do. And again, you'll see more of that in the shorts that I'm going to be uploading. I'm going to be uploading a bunch of shorts showing off the posabilities of this guy. And and then yeah, and also in the thumbnail of the videos I will be showing a lot of his, you know, posing capabilities as well, so you won't miss out on anything, I promise you. All right, but all that being said, we're gonna get into some size comparisons to close out. And before we do that, I'm just gonna make sure I covered all my main points here. So let's see, make sure we got him standing up. Actually, I'll bring him in real quick for one last look at the details. Oh yeah, so as far as things missing, we already covered the black missing inside of the shield, and then the helmet obviously not being in a gloss finish. And then one last thing that, like, very minor thing that they missed is that you'll see on the shield here, you see how the black, you know, spikes or whatever that come, like, you know, in front of the shield and then obviously wrap around to the back. Well, you probably won't even notice this, but I noticed it, obviously, right, in the show that you see how, like, it's raised from the rest of the shield, like these black spikes, and as it wraps around, actually, as it gets to, like, about halfway, like, to the back, it's supposed to actually, like, drop off, and then these spikes are supposed to get, like, more flat as they come towards the back. And, you know, a good way to see that a little bit better is on the Bandai Legacy figure, which is right here. They actually got that detail right. So it's like a very subtle thing, but you'll actually see, like, right here, you'll see how the black, you know, spikes are raised in the front, and then as they come to about, like, halfway to the back, you can see they actually, like, still protrude at the top, but then they drop off and they get, like, more flat as they come to, like, the back of his shield. As I bring it in closer, hopefully you can see that. See how there's, like, kind of like that space, that drop off from how they were in the front? And that actually is show accurate, because when he goes into Super Dino mode and he gets, like, you know, the spikes kind of protruding off of the shield, they actually, like, extend from, like, that little drop off point. So there's actually, like, space there so that they can, like, you know, spike off like that. And so that's just, like, a very tiny detail that they missed on this, you know, this 1/6 scale figure. But again, very, very minor thing, not a big deal at all. Most people probably have, you know, don't even notice that. So again, not a big deal. But, you know, other than that, it's pretty much a perfect figure, man. Like I said, the fabric really stretches around the skeleton very nicely. It looks natural in just about every pose that you put him in. And you can't even tell, like, that this is a figure, man, because, like, once you start taking photography, like, you would really think that this was somebody in a suit. My friend actually told me, I started posting some pictures of him on my story for Instagram, and my friend thought that, he told me, he was like, bro, I thought that was you in the suit. And I was like, I started laughing. I was like, nah, but, you know, it's the best, you know, White Ranger figure that they've ever made. I was like, by far, bro, like, without a doubt, like, this is the one, bro. This is, if you're a fan of this White Ranger figure, or, you know, this White Ranger, this is definitely a figure you need to have in your collection at some point, man. No doubt about it. Absolutely amazing. And, you know, there are, like, a few paint imperfections here and there, but again, with these being hand painted things, I definitely kind of expect that sort of thing. It's not going to be, like, completely perfect, but it came out really clean for the most part. Like, for example, on the extended version of the Drago sword, something I didn't notice in part 1 is that there was actually a little bit of silver paint missing on the dual blade, kind of like up here and stuff. It got, like, a little, might not even show up well on camera, you might not be able to tell, but there is, like, a little bit of paint missing within the dual blade. I can easily fix that because I have some Vallejo silver paint that I got in recently, so I can easily, you know, touch that up. And then I think on this Drago sword right here that I put in his holster, the pin mode, I just noticed right now that there was a little bit of gold missing off the fin on one side, so I can easily touch that up. No big deal. Again, the details, the overall details, paint work and all, and, you know, sculpt work and everything is just phenomenal with this guy, man. Like, you will not be disappointed, I promise you. and even bringing in like the Dragomorpher, just so you can tell. Again, the Dragomorpher is attached to the cuffs, which is like a soft piece, so you can like rotate those like around his wrist and like move them up and down. And even as you like change out the hands, if you wanted to, like you could slide this completely off because it is one piece. And so yeah, these are like soft pieces with the belt and the holster, so they do like slide around. But like look at all the details on the Dragomorpher. Excellent, excellent. You've got the silver, the red for the button. The red for the button is like a little bit fuzzy. I think they might have missed like a little bit of red paint towards the border, but again, it's all good. And then we've got the gold in there, the black stripes, the fin, yeah, everything. The details on the Morpher are exceptional, man. Very, very show accurate. Looks like a show replica. So yeah, man, this guy is just phenomenal. Cannot stress that enough. But yeah, my closing points. Oh man, let's see. I just want to give a quick shout out to That Metromania again on YouTube. And if you guys could do me a big favor, man, I'm gonna have his name in the description. I'll try to like link his channel. If you could do me a favor, man, and check out his channel, consider subscribing, because he does some amazing work, man. He's always uploading, you know, updates about 1/6 scale figures that are coming out from all these different companies like SOOSOO and, you know, just like all the companies that make 1/6 scale figures, even like the third-party ones that a lot of people don't know about. He's always giving you like the updates on those and letting you know like when these new badass figures are going to come out. So if you guys could do me a favor and yeah, check out his channel, leave likes on his videos, watch his reviews. He's got some great reviews up on the 1/6 scale figures. And yeah, check out his shorts and consider subscribing, man, because he puts in a lot of work and he does some amazing stuff over there. And you know, me and him were chatting back and forth about these SOOSOO Rangers, and you know, we both were just super excited. So real cool dude. It would mean a lot to me if you could check him out, and I know it would mean a lot to him as well. Let's see, who else? Shouts to Brandon over at 1/6 Outfitters. He was the rep that I talked to back and forth when I was, you know, trying to find out the release date of this guy, you know, finally coming out. We went back and forth, you know, just talking about it. But he was very respectful the whole time, and he let me know that, you know, like when my invoice was going to be coming in. And, you know, like shortly after I got my invoice for this guy, he let me know that my invoice for the, you know, the Gold Ranger, the son of Triforia from SOOSOO was, you know, had just been sent out to me as well. And so, yeah, he kept me up to date. So I really appreciate that. So shout outs to him. Very professional, great customer service. Shout outs to SOOSOO, obviously, for doing an amazing job with this Ranger right here. Absolutely phenomenal job. Yeah, man, I really don't have any like real gripes about this figure at all, man. I love it. I've been posing the heck out of it, and you know, it just brings me complete joy and fulfillment every time I look at it, man. I just be staring at this thing. Oh man, like he is amazing. You know, got him posed up on my nightstand, and as I leave for work, man, I just be looking at him, trying to have him in a dope pose before I leave. But yeah, awesome job to SOOSOO, man. And again, I'll have like the clean figurine rating and all that in the description. So in case you guys are curious, if you want to see like the full breakdown of what I would give, you know, each aspect, you can see that in the description. So yeah, let's see, anything else I'm missing? I don't think so. Anything else that I missed, I'll try to put in the description. But yeah, if you guys can get your hands on one of these, I've seen, like I said, I've seen some pop up on eBay. But I wouldn't pay like more than $200 for this guy, because you know eBay, they jack up the prices, the sellers and stuff. So it's always better to get them from like, you know, sites that you can trust that carry like these third-party figures, because you know they are going to give you like the price that, you know, the actual retail price that the original company charged. Which for this guy, again, I paid about like $165. Like 170, so I wouldn't pay like more than 200. If you really want this guy, I would say 200 maybe is a fair price. I wouldn't really go over that if you can help it, because you know, sellers will try to take advantage of you. So that's just something to note. Anything else? I think that's about it, man. So yeah, I think that's everything. So yeah, let's get into size comparisons. We will head out of here. So real quick, like I said, I don't have a lot to compare him with, unfortunately, because I don't have a lot of 1/6 scale figures at the moment, but I will show you what I do have. I have this Batman Begins figure from when I was a kid. And this figure has actually held up very, very well over the years. Like barely any paint has faded on him or anything. It's definitely like a taller figure. He's got some height over this SOOSOO White Ranger. He might be like maybe, I don't know, if I had to guess, like 18 inches tall or something, or 16 to 18 inches. He's definitely bigger than this SOOSOO White Ranger. But yeah, that's like one of my first size comparisons is this Batman Begins figure. So there is that. And then here is this Galactus figure right here that I had when I was a kid. This is one of my favorite things as a kid, man. You used to press this button and then like his crown would like light up with red lights and he would make noise. And this was before I even knew who Galactus was as a character. Like I was like a little kid, and this Galactus was at my grandma's house, and I would always play with him when I went over there. But you know, in this toy box that she had. But yeah, I would always pull him out. So here's that Galactus. And then on his other side, we have a comic style Spider-Man, about like a 12-inch Spider-Man that I had since I was a kid as well. I think I got him for like one of my birthdays. Back the camera up, because we got some big guys that we got to get all in the shop. But yeah, just so you can see that, Spider-Man is like just about the same height as the White Ranger here. They're like almost neck and neck. And then Galactus is definitely the tallest with this big crown thing on his head. So boom, you have that. And then moving them aside, just to show you like what he looks like with some smaller scale figures, like, you know, figures that we're used to looking at. We've got the Assassin's Creed Ezio from NECA right there. On his other side, we have SOOSOOtoys Thanos, in-game Thanos. Boom. So you can see, obviously, he's like almost twice the height of the, you know, Ezio figure. And, you know, Thanos is probably like about like a third of his height. Yeah. So yeah, 8 inches tall compared to about 31 centimeters, which is just over a foot. So, you know, there you go. Moving them aside, we have the McFarlane Spider-Man, batch 1 version that is, and then the green MMPR Ranger, or Dragon Ranger. And this fool doesn't stand up sometimes. So let me get him standing again. Boom, there you go. Let's see, get some balance. There you go. There he is with the Green Ranger. Obviously much, much shorter. So yeah, there is that. But yeah, you can see he obviously towers over the both of them, just so you get an idea of how he stacks up against, you know, more normal size figures. And yeah, man, that's pretty much it. So, or I guess to conclude off, here is my Lightning Collection White Ranger, which, you know, this won't be the most accurate comparison only because, you know, this is like a repaint. But, you know, just so you can see, we can finally see his mini-me's. Mini-me's meet Big Me. So boom, you have the Legacy, Bandai Legacy version on this side. And yeah, I did misspeak. I misspoke in part 1 when I was talking about the, you know, when we got the Drago swords with the White Ranger, like both versions, I said that they were in the Bandai Legacy line. What I meant to say was the Bandai 5.5-inch line. That's when we got those 2 Drago swords, because this is the Legacy figure and he only came with the pin mode. This is the Lightning Collection figure. He only originally came with the extended mode, but, you know, I gave him the Dino Action White Ranger swords, which were from that 5.5-inch line from Bandai back in the day. But boom, so now you can finally see him with the mini-me's, just to see how they stack up, and there you go. And yeah, I gotta say, man, I think like this helmet sculpt, this by far is obviously like the best helmet sculpt of the White Ranger that we've gotten so far. Hasbro did pretty good, but I don't think they quite nailed the shape. I would say like towards the bottom here, it is still a little too fat to be quite show accurate. I would say the Bandai Legacy one probably had the most accurate one before we got this SOOSOO version, but because it's more tapered as it comes down right here, and that's how it's shaped in the show. So, but you know, obviously this one blows both out of the water. Like this is the most accurate it's ever been, like the overall shape and paint. So yeah, and the red visor, I would say the red visor came out perfect, because it's dark, but obviously like when you have it in different lighting, it looks you know, brighter like it did in the show. So it kind of like changes shade of red. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's my review. Thanks for checking it out, and I'll see